On today's show,
we get an insider's look at the Kenai Fjords. So, ready to make a difference?
Building a better planet starts with you. Aqua Kids, traveling around the world, going where we've never been before, having fun and so much more, learning from our friends of the sea, saving them is up to you and me. Aqua Kids.
hey everyone at home, and welcome to another great episode of Aqua Kids. I'm Katie.
And I'm Drew. On today's show, we're headed out to the Kenai Fjords to get a look at some of the amazing creatures living there.
We'll also get to learn about some of the very negative effects human actions and climate change have had on the fjords.
Sounds like we've got our work ahead of us. Let's go.
All right. Oh my God, this is fantastic.
Awesome.
So there's a pod of orcas right behind us, and I hear this is a pretty rare sighting to see this pod. Mark, why is that?
Well, you got to understand that this is actually a family of orcas, okay? They're all related. They're brothers, sisters, but it's led by a female, a key female. Now, you can see that the big, tall dorsal fins, those are the males. The others are the females, okay? They travel together. The female decides where they go. This one's specific because it's the AB pod, named after that key female, okay? This was a pod that was studied extensively in Prince William Sound prior to the oil spill back in '86, then after the oil spill. These guys ran right smack into the Exxon Valdez oil.
Wow.
Immediately, 7 animals were killed. Okay, and for the past, and then immediately the years following, they lost several other key members. They actually lost 33% of their animals. And it was unprecedented. They splintered into sub-pods, into about 4 groups. We're only seeing 1/4 of that pod, and they haven't really ever joined each other.
Is it common to see orca whales in the Kenai Fjords area?
You know, they come and go. You see, there's 3 different types of orcas, okay? You have the residents. These guys are resident orcas, and they eat only fish, salmon and such, okay? And they'll come and go. You also have transients that come into the bay. Now, transients, they eat marine mammals. They're after a snack after those sea lions or seals. But then the ones that we really don't know a lot about, those are the oceanic or the offshores. Those guys come in here like once a year in a big wave of about 100 animals.
Wow.
They eat shark.
Ooh.
Yeah, tough life. And then they'll wipe out all the sharks, the sleeper sharks here in the bay. You'll see shark livers floating on the water. But the amazing thing is that genetically they're all separate. They don't intermingle at all. Residents will only breed among other resident pods, transients only among transient pods, and so forth. So there's so much we don't know about these guys, but they're a very compelling animal, very intriguing.
How do you know the difference between the types of pods?
It's tough for me, but what researchers do is they look at their dorsal fin and then the saddle patch. Did you notice that white patch right behind their dorsal fin?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's their fingerprint. And each one is rather unique. It has different lines in it, different scars or nicks. And so they can actually use those fins and those saddle patches to determine what pod they're from. I've never seen this pod before. That's how unique this sighting is.
Wow.
And so we have this one captain from another boat that actually knows this pod. He works with a researcher, Craig Madkin, who has studied this pod extensively. He saw these and he said, bingo, he found the AB pod.
Cool.
Why is the female the leader of the pod?
I guess that's the way the orcas want it. I mean, it's just their social structure. I mean, and it's not a female, it's the female, the grandma. The grandma. And the matriarch, that's exactly it. And she leads the habits, the breeding, she leads the everything.
Besides oil spills, what are other threats to orca whales?
You know, there's a lot of things, and we're just starting to understand that. Certainly their food supply is critical. They've got to have the adequate food supply, and that's why they come and go from here with following the food supply. But contaminants in the water. The blubber samples that we've seen have been showing increased amounts of contaminants, even mercury in their blubber. And that's concerning about the health of the ponds.
Do you know of any efforts being done to protect these whales?
You know, just our attitudes have changed. You know, back in the 60s, the 70s, they actually believed that orcas were man killers, even though there has been only 2 documented cases of orca whales attacking humans. And in each case, as soon as they hit them, let them go immediately, unharmed. So just us getting to know about orcas is protecting them.
Yeah.
We understand that they're a very complex animal. Researchers like Craig Matkin in this area is trying to learn information about them. This information I told you about their diets, we've only learned that the last 25 years or so. That's all new information and lots to learn. So by learning about them, we know how to protect them.
Education is the best protection.
Education and awareness and just doing the right things.
Yeah.
Sounds like there's a lot of opportunity for further research too. So if someone's interested in orca whales, there's a lot that they can do.
Great field to go in. We know a lot about the resident whales. You saw how close those guys got to us?
Yeah.
The resident whales are a lot more friendly. They'll actually come up to the boats and check you out.
Cool.
Transient whales we don't know as much about because they don't like boats. You might see them, they're gone.
Yeah.
Oceanic, the offshore, we know nothing because we just see them once in a while.
Well, this was a really unique sighting, and I've never seen orca whales before, so I'm glad we got to experience this.
We got lucky.
Yeah.
I remember standing on that boat and looking out to the orca whales in just complete awe. You know, I've seen them in aquariums before, but I had never seen them in the wild.
Yeah, Katie, it was awesome to see the whales in their natural habitat. It was sad, though, to learn about how human actions, such as the oil spill, can have catastrophic effects on these whales.
Yeah, it was really heartbreaking to learn about how much some of these whales suffered. But at least now, people's attitudes towards the whales are starting to change. So hopefully that will protect them.
When we return, we learn all about the effects of human actions and climate change on the Kenai Fjords, so don't go away.
The Pebble Partnership wants us to believe their plans for Pebble are unprecedented. But the Pebble process is the problem. You see, there are no standards in Alaska's mine permitting process. Nope, international mining companies could dig up 50 feet of salmon streams, or 50 miles. That's wrong. It's time for an independent review of the Pebble permitting process. That's as clear as the waters of Bristol Bay.
Alaska, Alaska.
Let's head back to the Kenai Fjords in Alaska, where we learn about the effect of climate change on the area.
All right, let's go.
We're here at the Kenai Fjords National Park in Alaska. Mark, can you tell me what a fjord is?
Oh, you're in a fjord right now. This bay, it's a fjord. 10,000 years ago, this had been all ice. One massive glacier that gouged out this land so that when it melted, it left a very steep-sided and very deep bay. Out here in Resurrection Bay, it's almost 1,000 feet deep.
Really?
Yeah, and so that's the characteristics of a fjord, a glacially carved bay.
How many glaciers are there?
In Alaska?
Yeah.
Try 100,000.
Really?
100,000 glaciers. Just within 12 miles of my house, get this, I have 15 major glaciers.
Wow.
This is a rocking place.
And glaciers have been affected by climate change for years now. Can you tell me a little bit about what's going on?
Yeah, well, I actually have some photos here that'll help illustrate exactly what's happening to the glaciers. See, here's Bear Glacier. Here, this would have been in 1909 here. Now, here's Bear Glacier.
Wow.
Now, okay. Here, we have another glacier in Kenai Fjords National Park. This is McCarty Glacier. You see it now? This is from the same angle 100 years later.
Wow, it's
Yeah,
practically gone.
It practically is. Last one. Northwestern Glacier, you see it there? Massive glacier. Now.
Wow. And how is this affecting the environment?
Well, in fact, first of all, you have to understand that a glacier is a balance of snow accumulation and melting. Okay?
Right.
If you have equal amounts of snow accumulation versus melting, the glacier's mass stays the same. You get more snow than there is melting, it grows bigger. More melting than snow, it grows smaller. And that's what's happening. So what's happening, these glaciers around here are changing because of the warming climate. Okay? How does it affect the environment? It's not just glaciers. We're talking the Arctic sea pack. We're talking about the permafrost. All these things. It's not just here that is changing the environment and the systems.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there anything that can be done to try to reverse this action or slow it down at least?
Well, we have to recognize that we are, even though climate is cyclical, we are part of this. Our carbon dioxide emissions are, without a doubt, affecting the climate.
Right.
Okay? It is warming our climate. It's time to move to the next stage. We need to think about what can we do to move to the next stage, to move to alternative energies that would put out less carbon dioxide.
Mark, tell us why this area is so important.
Well, it's unique. It's unique, Katie, because if you look at that island back there, then compared to the other land, it looks
Yeah.
different.
Definitely.
You know why?
Why?
It is different. You see, geologically, it's totally different. That material right there that stretches down the peninsula is actually basalt. It's oceanic crust, part of the Pacific plate that is piled up on top of the North American plate. It's very unusual. And it's kind of cool. It's going to be very beautiful, but more importantly, as we travel down it, it's going to change what we see, not only on the land, but in the water. It's going to change the wildlife that we see.
And why is that?
Well, we'll show you when we get down there.
Okay.
How did it get like that?
Well, what happened is that you have the subduction zone about 200 miles offshore. Now, the Pacific plate is subducting underneath the North American plate, okay? But for some reason, somehow, part of that Pacific plate scraped off and piled up on top of it. Very unique and very interesting, strikingly beautiful.
What might we see down there?
Oh, we're gonna see lots of stuff. We're gonna see birds, lots of birds, puffins, murres, sea lions, even possibly whales and stuff congregate there because that point of land that juts out in the ocean concentrates the food source.
Oh, okay.
And why does it do that?
Well, if you're a fish and you're swimming in the ocean along the shoreline and stuff, through the bays and you're just kind of in loose groups, but around points, they concentrate them as they move around the points.
Oh, so it's like a river bend? They're all
Well, it
collected?
kind of does. It constricts their flow.
Oh,
And
that's neat.
so the whales just hang out and say, yeah, bring it on.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's head down there now and check it out.
Okay, guys, we're in God's pocket now. Isn't this beautiful?
Yeah.
All this is basalt. That's that oceanic crust that's piled up.
Wow, so it's not glacier?
No, glaciers were here, but this is caused by that the uplift of the basalt.
Wow.
Now, okay, what I want you to do is take a look at the water for a second. What color is it?
Blue.
Turquoise.
It's kind of the turquoise. This is the right. It has a greenish.
Yeah.
Why? Any idea?
Is it from the phytoplankton?
It's a phytoplankton, exactly. And phytoplankton is primarily a plant plankton, okay, right?
Yeah.
It undergoes photosynthesis. Okay, what are the things that a plant needs to live?
Sunlight.
Sunlight. Okay, have any of you had trouble sleeping lately? The long daylight hours, right? Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, what else does a plant need?
Water.
Okay, got water, tick. What else does a plant need?
Nutrients.
Okay, this is an upwelling area of upwelling, and it brings nutrients from the bottom of the ocean, okay? And one more thing that plants need.
Oxygen.
The carbon dioxide
The
and
obvious.
stuff. They need to be able to
Not
breathe.
oxygen.
And cold water holds more dissolved gases than warm water, okay? So like we have the perfect storm here in the North Gulf Coast to allow the phytoplankton to survive. Now what eats phytoplankton?
Everything?
Nope.
Whales.
Nope.
Fish.
Zooplankton.
Oh.
Zooplankton are tiny animal plankton, right? Okay, okay, and they scoop them up. But in the wintertime, the phytoplankton's numbers go down. What happens? They die off. What happens to the zooplankton?
Did they die off too?
Nope. They
Wow.
go into deep water trenches. Do we have any deep water trenches here? Resurrection Bay, carved by a glacier, 1,000 feet deep.
Wow.
And that shows why this fjord ecosystem is so incredibly rich.
I couldn't believe how much the Kenai Fjords area was affected by human action and climate change.
I know, to think that some of the glaciers are almost completely gone, and all because of human actions like carbon dioxide emissions.
It's critical that we try and reverse these actions so we can not only protect the beautiful area of the Kenai Fjords, but also the diverse wildlife that call the fjords their home.
That's right. Don't go away. Aqua Kids will be right back.
Aqua Kids presents another Aqua Kids Pop Quiz. Approximately 70,000 sea otters swim in the coastal waters of Alaska. What percentage of the world's sea otter population is that? Is it A, 50%, B, 70%, or C, 90%? Don't go swimming off. We'll be back with the answer after the break. Did you guess what percentage of the world's sea otters swim off the coast of Alaska? The answer is C, 90%. 70,000 otters may seem like a lot, but their numbers are actually on the decline, and the federal government has listed them as threatened since 2005.
Alaska, Alaska.
In the 1800s, Alaska was the center of the sea otter fur trade. Once on the brink of extinction, they're now a conservation success story. Verena, why are sea otter pelts so sought after?
Well, I think the pelt talks for itself. Feel how soft it is.
Very soft.
And it's extremely warm. Sea otters are the only marine mammal in the entire world that do not have blubber to keep themselves warm. So they do that by having this thick, luxurious fur, which people sought.
So how many hairs per square inch or something like that? I heard they have millions of hairs.
That's correct, millions of hairs. We could start counting if you want.
A very long time. Very soft. These animals are really large. I was surprised to find that this is a good almost 5-6 feet.
It is, and they can get up to 110, 120 pounds. The females tend to be, on average, about 60 pounds, the males 80 to 90, but I've hauled animals out 100 pounds. There's some big animals.
Would this be a normal size for a sea otter?
For a male sea otter, yes, they do get to be this size. And they will eat 25% of their body weight every day. So if you've got a 100-pound otter, that's 25 pounds of clams, crabs, shrimp, so a lot of seafood.
These look a lot bigger than river otters.
In fact, they are, and I have my handy-dandy river otter pelt here to show you.
Wow, that's a lot smaller.
It is a lot smaller, and in fact, if you compare a river otter with a sea otter pup, which I have here, they're about the same size. This is a sea otter pup here, and this is an adult river otter.
Oh. So from far away, it might be hard to tell on the ocean, except probably the river otters would be more in fresh water.
No, they do actually forage in the coastal marine area, but there are a lot of differences other than their size. Sea otters will forage on their back, well, they'll lay on their back and eat their food. River otters will swim predominantly on their belly. They also don't have flippers, they just have 4 feet. The sea otter has flippers, back flippers, which aren't in fact on this pelt, but they're big flippers to propel themselves.
So one of the ways to tell the difference between a sea otter and a river otter would be the sea otter would lay on its back.
Correct.
And sort of forage around eating its food, and the river otter would be swimming around.
Yeah, and if you see an otter with fish, it's more likely to be a river otter because sea otters, they will eat fish, they'll eat seabirds too, but they'll predominantly eat invertebrates, clams, crabs, sea cucumbers, sea urchins.
So there is a difference in their diet?
There's a large difference between river otters and sea otters. River otters will eat predominantly fish. Sea otters rarely eat fish. They're opportunistic, but they'll eat mostly invertebrates. Clams like these clams, crabs, sea urchins. They'll even take seabirds at times.
Wow.
And so they have a specialized, teeth. They'll have these grinding molars that will get quite worn down. And then they'll have large canines and incisors. And in fact, when they're eating urchins, there's purple and green urchins. If they're eating purple urchins, their teeth will be stained purple.
Well, thanks so much for the information, and we'll keep a lookout for sea otters as our great Alaskan adventure continues.
Drew, those sea otter pelts looked so soft.
They were, Katie. No wonder they can survive in the cold water with that on their backs.
Well, don't go away. Aqua Kids will be right back. Aqua Kids presents Aqua News. Here's our top story. Overfished tuna populations may be saved. Over the past decade, our tuna fish populations have been in steep decline due to their increasing demand in the market. Tuna fish populations have been fished or overfished to a point where many say there is no return. However, a recent study by the University of Hawaii found that there may be hope. If marine zoning in the Pacific Ocean is used in conjunction with other measures, the declining tuna fish populations may be reversed. These marine zones would simply have to close small areas off to certain types of fishing. Other measures, such as prohibiting longline fishing in spawning areas and managing the use of fish aggregating devices, would then be taken. However, while scientists predict that this plan will have significant and widespread benefits for the tuna fish populations, building the population will take upwards of 15 years and may be thrown off by any large climate changes. I'm Katie from Aqua News, keeping you connected to our planet. Now, back to Aqua Kids.
Well, that's the end of today's show. We learned a lot about the awesome whales, sea otters, and other animals living in the Kenai Fjords.
Yeah, we really did. It was so cool to see orca whales, humpbacks, and birds living all in the same area. It really drove the point home for me that if we want to protect these animals and their habitats, it is vital that we prevent human actions from destroying the place that they call home.
You're right, Katie, and it takes the work of people like us and our viewers at home to make sure that we do whatever we can to preserve this amazing area.
That's right, and that's also why it's important to remember that everyone can do their part to keep this planet green and blue.
And so can you. So visit our website for cool eco tips.
And fun links to show you how we can keep the world
and the water a great place to play and explore.
And we'll see you next time
on
Aqua Kids.
Aqua Kids, traveling around the world, going where we've never been before, having fun and so much more, learning from our friends of the sea, saving them is up to you and me. Aqua Kids.
Furniture for the Aqua Kids set provided by IKEA.